Appreciate you guys being here. Like we always talk about, Wednesday, noon Eastern, weird time for a meeting. So if your partners can't make it, we have it in the Facebook group, YouTube channel, and we email it out. And we just try to spend some time with you guys each and every week to help you build your business. We just get down into some things that will immediately impact, hopefully, coming out of this meeting. So we are looking at mid-February already, 45 plus days into the new year. You want to make sure that you kind of evaluate yourself as you're going along. Make sure that you're bringing value into each one of the days that you work on your business, and you bring some intention as well. This will build, and this is a very lucrative opportunity for the right conditions, for the right people. And that's what we've been talking about over the past few weeks is lead generation, marketing, some things to look for in terms of what you do and who you attract. A couple of things that came up this past week that I just want to address. Panic management is not an acceptable type of management. It creates hesitation, and it really creates just emotional decisions that are, not good decisions, and they put you in a bad place as well as your team. So what you need to understand is that if your partners are not taking personal responsibility and they start blaming other people, whether it's marketers, lead vendors, the public in general, politics, religions, whatever it might be, that is something that we need to immediately help them overcome. And that just comes from lack of activity, a poor financial decision, our poor financial situation. If you're trying to build a business and you have financial constraints or financial pressures, it's even harder. We understand that. But number 3 is really the lack of a plan, and panic management that creates hesitation can be solved with a legitimate plan of action. And that's all you have to understand is, when you're talking to your partners, be empathetic, about their situation, but help them understand that being emotional about this business, being emotional about the day-to-day activity is all going to create just negative outcomes to what they're trying to do. And that has a compounding effect on them, your organization, and your ability to get to where you want to go as an individual and as an organization. Another thing that came up this week, taking somebody in this business model from 6 to 7 figures is actually going to be easier than taking it from 0 to 6 figures. The first 6 figures is definitely the hardest. And the reason I say that is because you're not going to have to come in here with infrastructure, capital to scale this thing. You can do that with the existing infrastructure that we have in place. Our element of this whole process is bringing the right people in on the client and the partner side. You got to be a mentor. People are going to have those stupid questions in the beginning. It's our job to answer them. They're going to have some different questions, but ultimately the process of a partner, you're going to hold their hand for a while. They're going to become, interdependent, start to do some things that require some coaching and mentoring. And then eventually they become independent. But that whole process is not a, overnight or 0 to 100. It's going to take some time. You got to rise to the moment as a leader and make sure you go into every day of your business with the intention to help people on both sides of the business. Last week, we really concluded a multi-week series on marketing lead generation. And last week, we really honed in on the 5 points of a conversational funnel, 3 daily online marketing activities, the difference in using Facebook versus LinkedIn, how to get results from those 2 platforms, 101 education on storage structure post, being organized with your online follow-up, understanding the role emotions play in marketing and decision-making. So obviously, all of this stuff is posted. You need to revisit any of these things. It's all right there for you and your new partners coming in. So we talked about the fact that leads are the front door of your business. If you've got nobody coming in the front door of your business, then you have no business. But also, once people are in that front door, virtual front door, we got to be able to make sure that we communicate with them, conversate, educate to convert on the backside. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get there, realize, guys, that 90 to 120 days, no matter what you're going to start, is the normal curve that you need to give to let you know if something's really working or if it's a failure. And up until that point, you really just got to give it the time to understand that it's working through and it's either going to work or it's not. But at this point, 3 to 4 months is usually a good determining factor. of what's going on to make either that kill switch or to continue on with whatever you're doing. Another thing that we discovered in the multi-week series is that when you have two sides of the business and you have a business opportunity that you're not having to create the demand for the product, it already exists. Getting in front of people with business opportunity, putting money in their pocket versus taking money out can be a great approach. Now, obviously, guys, everybody's not going to make a good business partner. We have interviews, we have a process to make sure we try to bring in the best people for you guys. But if they're not a qualified partner and you led with the business opportunity, we can pivot over to the client side and extract value. Great. Your job in the very beginning is to get as many eyes on your video assets as possible so you can create that pipeline to follow up. It's going to take some time, research and experimentation to find out the right business design for you. We have a structure, we have things in place that we are pretty confident that works, but overall, you're going to find that right business design to hit your individual goals, whether it's part-time, full-time, long-term, whatever it might be. It's out there and it's yours if you want it. So understand that the whole process of going through testing stuff is just to find stuff that's going to work so you can continue to go to that until it doesn't work anymore. And you're going to find your niche. And this is the most important part about lead generation and marketing, is making sure that you understand who you are, who you're looking for, that right message that's going to resonate with the percentage of those people, and then understand how to talk to that particular person. If you dominate a niche market, then what's going to happen is your business will naturally grow and diversify even from those segmented beginnings. So understand what you're trying to do, who your audience is, who your message is, and go out there and dominate that market. And then finally, we concluded from that series that in our business, leads are actually everywhere. I mean, financial wellness is a hot topic. The product services that we have on the back end are needed. So you just have to learn how to open conversations and not sound like a salesperson, not sound like a recruiter. Just be able to talk to people, network with people, get information. From that information, problems are uncovered. Solutions can be dealt from your side with action steps. So that leads us into, we're going to take a few weeks to talk about conversion. Remember, if you're great at lead generation, but you're not converting anything, guess what? That's a zero-sum game, because at the end of the day, you're not making revenue, income, partner, client growth. So you got to combine the front end with the back end. And once again, we're not trying to force people into places they shouldn't be. We're just trying to create and resolve leads in a way that we've got a plan of action for. Converting what you've created on the front side, it's not hard. It is work. You can do some things to automate the process. You can do some things to get out of your own way. But ultimately, if you do what you're supposed to do on a continual basis, you're going to find what you're looking for. And that's the whole, reason why you've got to have something in place on the conversion end that can be replicated by the next person. A lot of this goes back to time management, because our day either, we run the day or the day runs us. When you're talking about follow-up, when you're talking about conversion, and, conversion can mean a lot of things. You can have conversion in marketing. You can have conversion in lead generation. You can have conversion on the sales side. We're going to go into some different types of conversion. Today, we're just talking in terms of general conversion, and that really stems back to how well you're able to run your day. Do you have the organization? Do you prioritize what you need to? Are you proactive? Do you have the focus? Do you have things in place where you go into each and every day knowing what you're trying to accomplish? Proactive is the best way to convert leads. If you just create leads and sit back and wait for them to respond back or get back to you, that's not going to have any growth for your business. And that's also poor habits that if you pass down is going to create, not a organizational growth pattern that anybody is attracted to. So understand, be proactive, be aggressive, not, like I said, forcing people where they don't fit, but be proactive in resolving the leads, converting, and doing what you need to do to create the outcomes that you need. Remember, when you're dealing with conversion, just on the front side of lead generation, we're dealing with creatures of emotion. So you have to understand that. And a lot of this is psychological. And once you understand how people are wired, how they think, what motivates them, what moves them, what shuts them off and paralyzes them, It's a lot easier to start converting what you created on the front side. You need to have an outline, and all of your conversion should have, some type of formula or flow or pipeline that it follows. If everything's done in different types of directions and different types of communications, when somebody asks you what you do, how do you follow up? How do you convert your leads? You need to be able to present something that can be passed down to the next person, because the more you can do that's replicatable, easier it's going to be to find people that create independence from you, which is what you're looking for. Remember, our basic flow is we're going to, have some type of an introduction. We're going to get some video information out. We're going to follow up, and we're going to convert and resolve those leads. Top half intro to videos, that's lead generation. Bottom half follow up and conversion is, resolution of that lead generation. So this is not hard to understand. What you have to do is do some things from the very, very, very beginning that can slightly bring upticks into your conversion percentages. And that starts from the very beginning. If I'm talking to somebody and I send out a video by email, they never receive it, I'm coming back. Guess what? We're right back at point A. I'm sending back the videos. But if I met them on LinkedIn and I've got their contact information, I'm sending the videos out by email, text, and through the LinkedIn Message Center. They've really got no excuse not to receive or watch those. So understand everything you do, even small stuff, increases the percentage of conversions and increases the percentage of conversion in a compressed time frame, which you want. If I can resolve a lead in the second follow-up attempt versus the 10th, obviously it's much more advantageous for me to follow up and get that resolved in the second. Also, conversion. If something is working for you, understand where it's coming from and continue to go back to that until it doesn't work anymore. Sometimes things get stale, sometimes things change, but while it's working, don't turn your back on it and try to discover something new. Work that until it doesn't really work the same anymore. So find out where your leads are coming from, where your best conversions are coming from on the client and partner side, and revisit that marketing and lead generation leg or funnel continuously for those outcomes that you're looking for. Another thing that, and this sounds weird, but upgrade your network. Professional people are much easier to resolve than people that hide behind their phones from their creditors or whatever it is that they're hiding from. I would love to talk to a person, even if they're not interested in anything that I have that we talked about in the front conversation, to pick up the phone on that second follow-up, say, I reviewed everything, don't have time, not interested, not for me. That's perfect. Versus sending out multiple texts, multiple emails, trying to contact somebody who's continuously hiding from the entire world. So upgrade your network, talk to more successful people, get outside your comfort zone. That helps conversions on the back end. Also, what's going to help you convert is the continual conversion process of what did work. And we're going to try to work as educators to make sure that if a marketer creates a lead, and that's a solid lead that we were able to help, we're going to continue that path. We're not going to ask for referrals too soon. We're going to establish and provide value, have it recognized, and then we ask for the referral. If the educator's not doing that, they're falling short for themselves, the organization, the marketer. So it's very easy once we have a plan of action outlined in place, how we do small things at different parts to help the conversions. Also, put a clock on your leads, guys. It's like a ice cream cone on a hot summer's day. It's going to melt away. And if they've seen upfront information, they're not going to remember it. You're going to go back to having them rewatch that stuff. The quicker that you can get in front of people to resolve a lead, the better. Stats don't lie. People lie, numbers don't. You can see right here, if you're trying to create inbound marketing, you're trying to create lead generation for yourself, the conversion and that fortune is in the follow-up, but the real fortune is understanding the quicker you get to these people doesn't make it any more of a qualified partner, does not make it any more of a qualified client. It just means that you can resolve that lead and move on with your day. You're not in the business of hoarding data. Your CRM should not be overwhelmed like that TV show where stuff's just piled up to the ceiling with a bunch of crap and trash in people's house. Same thing with your CRM. Keep it sleek, keep it slim, make sure things have value, and make sure you're getting in front of these people in an optimal time point to resolve the lead. Also, this is tough because you're trying to do a lot of things and, all at one time. But the conversion factor, in certain parts of the pipeline, you got to make a personal connection. Just like on the front end, when you're marketing and creating lead generation, throughout the pipeline of conversion, got to continue to try to make that personal connection. Sometimes it's something small and an insignificant as just talking about the weather, but understand, if people don't feel comfortable around you, you're not going to be able to convert at a high level versus somebody else that's been able to make that personal connection that somebody can feel they can, talk to, give information to, all the things that we're looking for. If you're uncomfortable with the small talk, making that personal connection, some of us are extroverts, some of us are introverts. It doesn't really matter. If you have struggle and trouble with the small talk, understand that it can come back just to understanding and being able to clearly and concisely articulate in the open marketplace to people why it is that you're passionate about what you do. People will buy into what you do. That's on marketing, lead generation, and that's on conversion as well. Also, what will help you greatly is not being in the mentality of a salesperson or a recruiter. You're an educator. Even if you're not doing the back-end financial education, you're still providing educational services. And we provide a lot of free stuff, free assessments, free reports, free guides, a lot of free stuff. The worst case scenario somebody can have that sits down with us, they walk away with some information they can implement on their own. So start thinking like an educator, but understand, the teachers that you've had in the past, growing up, going through school, a teacher can be very knowledgeable, but they're not going to be memorable. And the stuff that they try to teach us is not going to be ingrained in our brain versus those other teachers that knew how to combine knowledge with enthusiasm. Really, knowledge is the power that we're trying to give to people, but enthusiasm is going to pull that switch, make them take the action steps. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So remember, people fear money. During the upfront lead generation, during the conversion process, you've got to keep that in mind. If you come off as an educator, an enthusiastic educator, it will greatly help what you're trying to accomplish. And that just comes from getting excited about helping people. That's why when I'm talking to business partners, do they buy into our mission? Because there's going to be good days, bad days, but overall, if you buy into the mission and understand what we're trying to do, the money will follow. And if you get excited about truly helping people on a massive level in this country, that should take care of itself in terms of, being excited, being enthusiastic, being able to relay that over to the other side, why you do what you do, to get people buying into you so you can continue that conversation. The other side is most likely asking or thinking about, how do I win? And if they're not thinking about that, then it's probably the wrong person. You don't want to be talking to those people. But the other side's really figuring out in this day, in this society, in these times, how do I get ahead? How do I win? What do I need to do to put myself in a better position, my family in a better position? You have to understand that's how people are thinking, and that's how you need to approach some of the things that you do in conversion. If they want to or if they don't want to, we're all playing the money game. We're not going to escape that. People can try to escape that, but it's an integral part of our life. And so when people understand that, willingly or unwillingly, they're playing the money game, what we're trying to help them do is understand the rules of those games or understand the rule of the game so they can have an effective chance to actually win. Wealth or poverty, it's not a whole lot of difference between there in terms of, it probably boils down to some basic decision-making that people make that allow them to create wealth or allow them to be stuck in poverty. A lot of people that we talk to, they can't even imagine becoming wealthy, but they can imagine, they see it all around them becoming impoverished and living in a state of poverty, both in the working years and especially in the retirement years. So you have to understand, part of the conversion process, part of the education process is helping them understand something is going to happen. Why is it that some people find success while other people really don't have a clue? And that's really what our mentality and our mindset is with on the open marketplace is, hey, you need to educate yourself. What you've been taught or what you have not been taught at all is holding you back. And if you don't get yourself on a better trajectory going forward, you're not going to create the lifestyle that you're expecting, that you want, or you desire. Come find out how to do that. The unfortunate reality, and you have to help people understand through the process, most people have a traditional mindset. They're going to just hope and pray that everything works out. Well, the combination of that and the unknown and uncertain, cold, unknown future, the combination of both of those things, no real plan, hope and pray, with all the obstacles that are going to come forward in our lives, well, we see the unfortunate reality of what happens with that every single day. So when you're following up, when you're trying to convert people, you're not following up, to follow up. You're following up because you have a target or objective. You're trying to get them pushed through a pipeline to take that next action step. So you need to be creative with some of your language, and people need to be interested in talking to you again. So, what we share with people, the biggest mistakes that most everyone's making, you probably are too. Do you know it? Do you want to avoid it? Let's talk. The things that successful people have present, and without question, others that struggle do not. The proven strategy that generates X, Y, Z, whatever they're looking for. So understand, you have to create leads in a way that garners general interest. And then through the pipeline of conversion, you have to continue to kind of stoke that interest and make people realize that you've got something they should talk to you about. The power of possibility, guys. This is what it all boils down to, because we're trying to create a future that people actually want. So why is the purpose? How is the process? And what is the result? This is what you're trying to help people understand. Let's talk for just a second about choices. We want to have clients that create good outcomes from positive, educated choices. But regardless, there are good choices, bad choices made every day. Sometimes people make bad choices without even knowing it. So part of what we do is help people understand, hey, you've been making bad decisions for a very, very long time. If you continue on this path, you're not going to get where you want to go. First thing that you need to do is educate yourself and take a new mindset on what you need to do to create the choice outcomes that you're looking for. Another way that you can help people kind of understand where they are is just ask them simple questions. When you're in the process of, taking a lead that you've created and generated and trying to convert that into an outcome, what do you have to gain? What do you have to lose? So if someone sits down with us for free education, free assessments, free savings reports, free how-to guides, from a client perspective, guys, what do they have to lose and what do they have to gain? And then secondarily, if they're taking action steps, if that's where you are, what if you do? What if you don't? You got to paint the picture. It's a fork in the road, and help people understand, and don't gloss over the painful point of that, whatever side of the fork in the road they're going to go to if they don't get their situation straight. It's the reason that somebody's going to take the step. And that all comes back down to their why. And yes, we have some, organizational whys. Why does our company do what we do? Our mission. Why do you do what you do? Your personal vision. But why is anybody going to do what you want them to do? You got to uncover reasons. You got to cover the why, and you've got to continue to hit that back once you find that. This is definitely what you don't want your conversion process to look like. A lot of people think that you've got to send some, email that's got all this great information. A lot of my emails, guys, are down to 2 or 3 lines, and it's highlighting the action step, exactly what I want them to do next. Because if you put too much out there, whether it's in an oral conversation, verbal conversation, whether it's in an email, text, a message, what you actually want to get across in that message is lost with all the other words and verbiage that you put into there. Clear, concise, down to the point, highlighting the next thing that you want them to do. And when you follow up with people, you can't dump truck on people. If you start telling people everything that you know about the business, they don't want to hear that. They want to know what's in it for me. What do I gain out of, taking this next action step or conversation with you? So you're following up to garner or to, stoke that interest that we've garnered in the lead generation process, and to take them through the process of creating an outcome. If you're dump trucking, people are going to disappear. Remember, it's just a process, guys. The lead generation through the conversion gets you the outcomes on the back. We don't care at the end of the day what the outcome is, positive, negative. We just want to create the outcome because we know what we have here. And if we do what we need to do in a kind of like a uniformed way, that's repeatable, that's replicatable, that's duplicatable, then we can build a business for ourselves, and we can also help others build a business, which gets us to our exit strategy. So every single day, I've got a to-do list that I check things off. I've got a CRM that I need to handle and monitor. I've got stuff that's directly on my calendar. And then I've got stuff, that I automate. And the more and more that I can automate, the more time it frees me up to have the personal interactions with the people I need to on a daily basis, to handle my CRM tasks, to handle my calendar tasks. If there's extra time, chip away at that to-do list and then let that automation run all the time. Conversion, like I said, starts at the very beginning, guys. And one of the things that's greatly helped me out, because I'm not the most organized person, is all of this technology that we have. So if somebody's going to talk to me, I have them schedule an appointment, because this does a lot of things for me. Now I have their contact information, their name, their phone number, their email address. I have a database now that I can go back to for certain types of marketing, certain types of things that I want to accomplish inside my business. And it just helps me stay organized. So the conversion process for me starts at the very first step that I'm trying to take, which is talking to somebody. Now, also what this allows me to do is give them automated notifications, reminders. If somebody's scheduled an appointment with you 1 week from today and you give them no reminders or notifications, the chance they're going to make that is pretty much zero. You will find the most successful marketers, the most successful business people out there are constantly in a state of reminding, notifying, marketing, educating, all the things that we're looking to do. It's much better to have a cancel, and it's much better to have a reschedule over a no-show. Don't think that you're getting in front of these people too much. Reminders, notifications. I mean, I forget things 5 seconds later after I do things. So if I'm doing that, I know other people are. You need to stay in front of people. The more you stay in front of people, the better your business will turn out to be. And the multi-touch system, remember, you're not just getting in front of one person in one way, you're getting in front of them in multiple ways. And we're going to talk about this next week, a schedule that you should have that goes through a number of multi-touch notifications, reminders, that includes phone calls, emails, voicemails, text, social media, everything that we need to do to make sure people realize, A, they have something scheduled with us, and then B, as it comes forward and as it gets closer, constant reminders. Also, you need to understand on the conversion process, just on the lead generation process we talked about, understand where your audience spends their time. If you can resolve a lead through a text and you never sent that text, well, guess what? You're missing out. Text is a great way to stay in front of people for follow-up, for reminders, for notifications. Allow somebody to receive the information in their preferred method of communication and allow them to respond back in that same preferred method of communication. Like we just talked about, text. Text can be a great way, but your text can't be spammy. They can't be, it has to be right down to the point, quick, and then highlighting what you want them to do, whether it's call you back, watch a video, schedule something on the calendar, whatever it is, text is a great way to communicate. And like we've always talked about, anything I can automate on the front side for lead generation, anything I can automate on the back side to try to help the conversion factors, whether it's emails, whether it's text, no matter what it is, the more you automate, the more free time you have. And if you're smart, that free time gets invested back into your business with the things that automation cannot handle. And when the two of those things combine together, conversion rates, rise, partners coming in rise, income levels rise, everything that you're looking to do, and it saves you from yourself. If I have to send out X number of emails over the next few weeks and I have to do that manually, well, I have to be honest with myself. There's probably a 0% chance that's getting done. If I set them up on an email schedule that's already taken place, that I've already written out, guess what? Every single time it's supposed to be in their inbox, it's going to be there. And remember those, if you're not sending enough information out, if you're not one of those people that's going to follow up more than one time, the rest of us that are, we're going to find more success here. So understand the automated follow-up strategy, automate what you can, the other stuff, make sure you take care of. And as you go through the responses, you can see the original email, the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the more chances that you have to get in front of somebody It may not be that second email may not reach them at a good time, but that fourth email may have been delivered right when they were in front of their computer. They open and they read it. So if you give up early and you're dumping a lot of these leads for non-communication, then that's not the same as resolving the leads through the resolution process. Also, take it away from people, guys. The conversion factor is not about just trying to pre-qualify everybody into one bucket or one box. It's about taking away. It's about disqualifying. It's about making sure the people that you're working with on the client and partner side, they deserve your time. Remember, you're valuable. Your time's valuable. Quit going into the marketplace with your hands held out. And then once you create leads, understand your value, what the company has to offer, what the team has to offer, what you have to offer on an individual basis, and learn how to take it away. The conversion process is sometimes as simple as making sure people understand that they don't have a plan in place. Most people don't have a plan in place. And when you don't, a goal without a plan is just a wish. Sometimes a lot of this, what you're doing is you're making sure people understand what they're doing is not correct. What they have in place, if anything, is not right. So what we help people out is with a new plan of action, a new way to, enter into their financial plan with things that actually work, things that are going to provide solutions they actually want. The whole process, guys, is very, very easy. You're opening. We talk about our conversations as opening, continuing, and directing. When you're looking at coming from the pain to the buying vision, it's opening, controlling, and confirming. And then, you're diagnosing, you're exploring the impacts, and you're visualizing the capabilities here. We're going to go into more detail about some of this back-end conversion in the coming weeks, but understand, if you understand how people are wired, if you understand what motivates them, it's a lot easier to talk to them. Get to the underlying cause. If somebody is stuck in a certain place in the pipeline and you're not sure how to get them to the next point, you're kind of stuck and you guys are kind of like in a neutral standpoint, understand a lot of that comes from you not getting to the underlying cause of what's holding them back. So there's a surface level, there's a symptom, you're getting closer. And when you uncover that true root cause, doesn't mean that it's going to be a successful outcome, just means that you can get to the outcome from that point. Also, a lot of people, they have trouble envisioning a better future. And that's unfortunate. It doesn't cost anything to dream. It costs everything not to dream. But part of our job is to say, why can't you have this outcome? Why, can't you have this outcome in a compressed time frame? Why not now? Why can't you start to take a better, action plan forward based on education and based on things that are going to work for you and your family and your goals and your priorities? You got to create excitement. And guys, that's probably the biggest point in the money game and what we're trying to do. Remember, people fear money. So you're the educator, you're the enthusiastic educator, but you got to create excitement. When these numbers come through and you're painting a picture of what can be, don't just gloss over the savings. Don't just gloss over the end results of what they can have in retirement accounts or bank accounts. Get excited about that, because that will relay through and that can create excitement from the other side. If you're mundane in your presentations and you're creating zero excitement, it's going to be hard for the other side to get excited until you do. And then action changes things. So if people are stuck and you're having trouble to convert them, sometimes you have to just press the action point. Say, and we talked about labels. We talked about labeling people. We talked about how that's a effective way to help them understand, what's going on and what needs to happen. But at certain points, you have to demand the action. If you don't, it's like a dog, chasing its tail. There's going to be more and more follow-up. You're going to go right back to the same position you are in the last conversation or communication. You have to demand action. Sometimes that action is just, hey, we're done here. I'm closing it down, closing the file. Best of luck going forward. And you also have to, not let people continually give you excuses. People are great at giving excuses. They have to make the changes. Sometimes those changes aren't easy, but they have to make the changes and not the excuses. So they can't see anything change in their life until they actually make changes in their life. We have all this great technology that can make it very easy, but at the end of the day, it is up to them. And if they're just going to sit back and make excuses about why this can't happen instead of making the necessary changes, well, guess what? You're getting closer to converting that lead because now you're making them realize, what's at stake here, the fork in the road, and that you're demanding an action step at this time. Remember, conversion is a lot like lead generation. It takes some practice, it takes some time, it takes a pipeline, but overall, it's about your mindset. Stop selling, stop pitching, stop recruiting, start interviewing people, start talking to people. Utilize a tool other than yourself. We have great videos. We have a lot of media out there. It's not always about you and your conversation and your talking points. It's got to be something else. 90 days. You're going to see this over and over and over again. 90 days to fill up a pipeline, crush the phone, stay consistent. You've got to have that solid follow-up system. If you do, this business becomes easy. If you don't, this business becomes overwhelming. Think long-term. It's just a numbers game. Connect with them on social media. Smile when you're on the phone. People want to do business with people they like. Remember, on the sales side, on the conversion, we talked about this before, 87% of the people in a certain survey that I saw decided not to do business with the salesperson because the salesperson has not done a good enough job of getting to know them and their problems to where they effectively think the other side, that potential client, thinks that salesperson can actually help them solve the problem. Next week, guys, we're going to go more into conversions. This was kind of like a hodgepodge of information about the end of our lead generation and marketing, the starting of our conversion. But if you get good at generating leads and you get good at converting those leads, you're going to get good at building a business. And this is a very lucrative opportunity.